Alright, Algebra 1, Chapter 1, Mid-Chapter Quiz Review. This is just a quiz going over one-step equations and two-step or multi-step equations. We've got Snorlax here. He's going to be my math buddy. He's going to sit in my lap while I do all of these problems. I'm just going to go step by step on how you do them. If you want more of an actual lesson or if you have any questions, then you ask me them either next time you see me in class or shoot me an email and we'll figure something out or something like that. So, all of these equations, you are solving for the variable. You are isolating the variable. You are having the letter just on one side of the equation and just the letter. So you have to try to get rid of everything else that's on that side that the letter or the variable is on. You do that by doing inverse operations. If you think you won't remember the entire time, you can at least remember it once and then right at the top of your quiz, top of your paper, whatever. So inverse operations, addition is the opposite or the inverse of subtraction and vice versa. And multiplication is the inverse of division and vice versa. So that being said, start with this first one. N minus 4 equals 1. We want to isolate the n. We just want n here. So what else is on this side? A minus 4 or a negative 4, if that's how you want to think about it. What is the opposite or the inverse of subtraction? Addition or positive. So we're going to add 4 to both sides of the equation, both sides of the equal sign. You got to match it, keep them equal. So those cancel out, and we have n is equal to 1 plus 4, 5. And if you're nice to me, you'll box your answers no matter when or where we are doing them, just to make it easy for me to find where your answer is when I'm grading these. So negative 8n equals 56. If you might remember, whenever there's a number and a letter right next to each other, it can also be rewritten like this. Negative 8 times n equals 56. And what is the opposite of multiplication that's happening here? The inverse of multiplication is division. So we are going to divide. Dividing both sides by the number we want to get rid of. In this case is negative 8. So those cancel out. N equals 56 divided by 8 normally is just 7, but we see here we have a positive number and we have a negative number because in division and multiplication, when the signs are different, when there's one positive and one negative, doesn't matter which one is which, when they're different, the result is negative. So N equals negative 7 here. Next one, x minus 8 equals negative 18. The opposite of subtraction is addition. So we're going to add 8 both sides. X equals negative 18 plus 8 is negative 10. Just as tricks, if you can't remember, if you have a positive plus a positive, you just add them like normal, and that's a positive number. If you have a positive plus a negative or a negative plus a positive, what you do is you subtract the numbers normally, and the bigger number takes the sign. And if you're doing negative plus a negative, then you just add normally and put negative sign. So this case uses this one, because we have a negative number plus a positive number. So we're going to subtract the numbers like normal, and then the bigger sign, or the bigger number takes the sign. So we have 18 minus 8, which is 10. Which one's bigger? 18. Is it negative? Yes, so it's negative 10. If you just want to remember real quick how to do those. Next one, r minus 9 equals negative 2. We want to solve for r. There's a minus 9 there. Opposite of subtraction, opposite of minus is add. So we add 9 to both sides. Those cancel out. R equals negative 2 plus 9. We can use the same rules. We're having a negative number plus a positive number. You just subtract them like normal, and then the sign takes after the bigger number. So 9 minus 2 equals 7. Which number is bigger? The 9. Is it positive? Yes, so r is just equal to positive 9, or just 9. Next one, x minus 6 equals negative 15. There is subtraction. To get rid of that subtraction, we add on both sides. That cancels out. X equals negative 15 plus 6. Same rules. We have a negative plus a positive, so you subtract them like normal. And then the bigger sign, or bigger number, takes the sign. So 15 minus 6 is 9. Bigger number is 15, and it's negative. So x is equal to negative 9 here. Next one, p divided by 10, or p over 10, is equal to negative 7. This line means that there's a division happening. And what is the inverse of division? Multiplication. So we're going to multiply. P over 10 equals negative 7. We're going to multiply by the number we're trying to get rid of. So we multiply both sides by 10. That cancels out. P equals negative 70. It is negative because, just like for division, if the signs are different between the two numbers, the result is negative. We have one negative and one positive number, positive 10, negative 7, so negative 70. Next one, a over 3 equals negative 6. Trying to solve for a, got to get rid of what else is on the a side, division, so we multiply. Those cancel out. A equals negative 18. For the same reasons as number 6. Number 8, x over 6 is equal to negative 5 over 6. Just as a heads up, for this, there are multiple ways to write this. We have the negative 5 over 6, that is equal to negative 5 over 6, which is also equal to 5 over negative 6. Those are all the same thing, so it just depends on how you want to write it. But here, we have x over 6 equals negative 5 over 6. We're trying to solve for the x. So what else is happening here? Division. So we want to multiply both sides by 6. And just like the same reason why those cancel out, these also cancel out. If you want words, it's because there's one on the top and one on the bottom. One on the top, one on the bottom. So those cancel out, which leaves us with x equals negative 5. All right, number 9, x over 7 equals 7. We have division here with the x on the x's side, so to get rid of it, we do multiplication. Multiply both sides by 7. Those cancel out. X equals 7 times 7, 49. Last one of the single step, p plus 10 equals 11. There is addition happening here, so we want to do subtraction to get rid of what else is over there. So you subtract 10 just to get p on its own. 11 minus 10 is 1. So that's all of the one-step equations. For the two-step equations, if you want a reminder for yourself, you can write PEMDAS at the top of your paper too, the order of operations. As a reminder, we got parentheses, exponent, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. Addition and subtraction are kind of on the same level. Multiplication, division are kind of on the same level. And if you have multiple things you can do to solve for the variable, to have only the variable on one side, then you can try to use PEMDAS in the opposite direction to figure out what to do first. So let's apply that to these first couple here. We have r divided by 5 plus 3 equals 3. We know at some point we have to subtract because of this addition sign. We know at some point we have to multiply because of this division sign. But which one do we do first? We take a look at PEMDAS over here, going the opposite direction. Addition and subtraction first. If we can add or subtract something first, then that is what we will do. We can subtract 3. Subtract 3 from both sides, so that at least cancels out. Now we have r over 5 equals 3 minus 3, 0. Do we have any more addition, subtraction? No. So what's next? Multiplication and division. We have a division right here that needs to be taken care of. How? The opposite of division, multiplication. Inverse operations. So you multiply both sides by 5. 0 times 5, anything times 0 is 0. So here r equals 0. Next one, 12. X divided by 4 plus 4 equals 3. We know eventually we're going to need to do a subtraction because of the plus. Eventually we're going to need to do a division or a multiplication because of the division. But what do we do first? Opposite of PEMDAS. So addition, subtraction first. So we're subtracting 4 first from this side. If x over 4 equals 3 minus 4, we have a positive number plus a negative number. If we go back up here, because I can rewrite the positive plus a negative to just be like a number minus a number. That is the same thing. X minus y is the same thing as x plus negative y. So a positive number adding a negative number, same thing as subtraction. So positive number adding a negative number. You subtract them like normal, bigger number takes the sign. 4 minus 3 is 1. Which number is bigger? 4. Is it negative? Yes, technically subtraction. So negative 1. Now we have x over 4 equals negative 1. There's a division. To get rid of the division, inverse operation, we multiply by the number we're trying to get rid of. So those 4's cancel out. Negative 1 times 4. 1 times 4 is just 4. Anything times 1 is itself. And because one of the numbers is negative, one of them is positive, there are different signs, so the result is negative. X equals negative 4. Now, negative 4 plus 2a equals negative 6. Add 4 to both sides first. So those cancel out. Now we have 2a left over on this side of the equal sign. Negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. Now we divide by 2 because 2 times a, technically multiplication happening there. So that cancels out. A, anything over itself is 1, and because the signs are different, one negative, one positive, the result is negative. So a equals negative 1. Now, 14, we have some parentheses. We have the distributive property. If you remember how to do distributive property, we distribute what is on the outside to the inside. But hey, there's only a negative sign. What am I supposed to do? Technically, this can be rewritten as negative 1 times 2 plus v equals negative 2. Just like how anytime we just have a variable, it is technically also 1x, but that's just equal to 1 times x, and that's just equal to x, because anything times 1 is itself. So we just don't write it for the sake of doing things faster. So this is the same thing as a negative 1 standing right outside. So we're going to distribute that negative 1. We have negative 1 times 2 plus, I should have done this in blue, negative 1 times v equals negative 2. Negative 1 times 2. Anything times 1 is itself, different signs, so it's negative. And negative 1 times v, anything times 1 is itself, so it's v, and because it's both, it's negative, so you can do add negative v equals negative 2. But as I said up here, subtraction is the same thing as adding a negative. So adding a negative, if you want to make this shorter, it can be negative 2 minus v equals negative 2. Now, we know what to do from here. Add 2 to both sides. Those cancel out. Negative v equals negative 2 plus 2 equals 0. And I'm going to move this over here because we're running out of space. Divide both sides by negative 1 because we want a positive v. 0 divided by anything is still just 0. So we have v equals 0. Another way to do this problem, I will rewrite this over here. Negative 2 plus v equals negative 2. I think we have a 1 over here. You might notice that negative 1 does go into negative 2 evenly. So you can just treat this whole thing like it is just multiplication instead of distributive property, and you can divide both sides by negative 1 to get rid of that one. So we have 2 plus v, that drops down. Negative 2 divided by negative 1 is just 2. Subtract 2 both sides. V equals 0. So that's just one way to do it. Technically, the safer way is to distribute, because sometimes the number on the outside does not always go equally into what the entire thing is equal to. So the safer option is just to distribute, but technically the second way is shorter, as you can tell. And the same thing applies for the next couple. You can just divide the entire thing by the number that's on the outside if it goes in evenly, if you notice that it goes in evenly. But we're going to go with the safer route of just distributing, because it's not always going to be able to happen. So here we have, first one, -2 times k, minus, next one, -2 times 5 equals 6. So we have -2k minus -10. If you remember me saying, if we have subtraction and a negative sign minus a negative, those cancel out to just be positive. So -2k plus 10 equals 6. PEMDAS, reverse PEMDAS. First thing we do, subtraction, because we can do addition or subtraction. Those cancel out. -2k equals -4. Divide both sides by -2. Those cancel. K equals 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2, because they're both negative. Result is positive. 16. 5 times the parentheses of x plus 4 equals 30. Distribute the first one, 5x, plus distribute the second one, 4 times 5, which is 20, equals 30. Get rid of the 20 first, so those cancel out. Now we just have 5x equals 10. Divide both sides by 5, x equals 2. Last stretch. 3 plus a over 4 equals 5. We're going to subtract 3 from both sides. So those cancel out. We have a over 4 equals 2. Division, so we multiply both sides by the number we're trying to cancel. A equals 8. 18, -5n plus 2 equals 52. Subtracting 2 from both sides. -5n equals 50. Divide both sides by -5. n equals -10. P over 9 minus 5 equals -6. Add 5 to both sides. P over 9 equals -6 plus 5 is -1. I multiply both sides by 9. P equals -9. Last one, distribute. -2 times 4 is -8, plus -2 times x is -2x equals 12. I can rewrite this to just be -8 minus 2x, because we are adding a negative. Add 8 to both sides to get rid of this 8. -2x equals -12 plus 8 is -4. Divide by 2. -2, those cancel out. X equals 2. So, just to go over, if you want to adjust the answers, 1, n equals 5. 2, n equals -7. 3, x equals -10. 4, r equals 9. 5, x equals -9. 6, p equals -70. 7, a equals -18. 8, x equals -5. 9, x equals 49. 10, p equals 1. 11, r equals 0. 12, x equals -4. 13, a equals -1. 14, v equals 0. 15, k equals 2. 16, x equals 2. 17, a equals 8. 18, n equals -10. 19, p equals -9. And 20, x equals +2. Sorry, just x equals 2. So all of these is how it should look on your paper, or at least on the quiz. I want you to show your work. Do not forget, please, show your work. If you do not show your work, I'm going to assume that you cheated somehow, and I will give you no credit for what you have done, even if you can do just 1 plus 4 in your head, and you know from the get-go that n equals 5, as I showed you, there is work to be shown. So make sure you show your work, please. Otherwise, that's it. Again, if you have any questions, then you can ask me in class, or you can shoot me an email if you have any questions, and we'll just talk about it. Good luck on the quiz.